Hi there, Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, as well. I wanted to come in this morning and just talk a little bit about where the sun is right now and us being in Aries and the opportunity that we have. And the reason I like to share the astrology is because I feel like it gives us the opportunity to, hi Joe, how are you? I feel like the astrology, hi Sandy, gives us the opportunity, hi Brenda, to know what's happening. It's information, right? And the more we can be informed, the more we don't have to be taken over by our fears. Hi Tamika. And the astrology is I've only been really studying, like fully studying astrology. I've loved it all my life, but I've been really studying it for like the last 5 or 6 years. And the thing that I always see, hi Naima, is that the astrology is on point, right? It doesn't tell us exactly the what, but it definitely tells us that what's that there's something, right? It's the energy. And so the energetic imprints of this astrology is that there's going to be a lot of chaos. Mars is about to conjunct Pluto. It's in Capricorn. We see all of our structures are coming undone. We're having to literally do everything in a new way. Like within weeks, like we've had to learn how to be a completely different person because of what's happening in our lives right now. And so the astrology foretells that. It lets us know that it's happening. And right now, if we would just begin to allow ourselves to follow the sun. A few years ago, I woke up one morning and I had a dream. And in the dream, like right before I woke up, I heard a voice inside of my consciousness say, follow the sun. And I was so confused by it. I was like, what do you mean follow the sun? What? Follow the sun? Follow the sun. And it was before I was doing the moon mama stuff or any of that kind of stuff. And what I started to really get is that when we follow the sun, we follow the natural flow, the natural energetic flow of our planetary system. And if you guys have been following me for a while, I've been talking about the electromagnetic field and how there's this field that we are immersed in right now that we cannot see, just the way fish are immersed in water. And we are in this experience of being connected to this force that's all around us. And like right now where you are, it's breathing you. Like you think that like it's alive, like the force around the oxygen, the environment is totally alive. And so when we follow the sun, we can intellectually and intentionally connect with what the environment that we're in is doing, right? Because the sun creates everything that's going on in our reality. So right now, we are moving out of one age. We're moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. And so many cultures have done this before. It's not in our lifetime because these ages last 24,000 years. So we're at the end of one and the beginning of another. And so what we have an opportunity to do, if it's so simple, if you would just follow the sun and really learn your astrology, right? So the sun is in Aries right now. Aries is the archetype of the warrior. And the warrior is this energy of having to generate a great deal of power. The reason Aries is in spring is because all the light comes in and then we have so much more energy to propel ourselves forward like a warrior would. Like if you think of movies that you've seen where they're preparing for battle, like old movies and it's like all these soldiers and there's just this intensity of like really getting your energy ready to push forward, right? And that's what we're moving through right now, because we're moving out of an old age and into a new age. And so what that requires is courage. It requires courage. And courage is a state of mind. That's all it is. So as we are going through this experience, this coronavirus and all of that, what would it take for you to be courageous? That's how you have to come to this. You have to ask yourself internally, what would courage look like for me? What does it take for me to be courageous? What does it take for me to move out of nothing into something, right? Like, it's because that's the energy of Aries. It's literally the energy of birth, right? It's like being in the unseen and then moving to the scene. So that takes a great deal of energy to move out of the invisible and into the scene, right? So what is it that you are needing to do to move your consciousness out of one way of being and into another way of being? All you have to do is ask yourself and witness yourself and pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your inner thoughts. Pay attention to the places where you have abdicated your power. Pay attention to the places where you have attempted to manipulate. Pay attention to the places where you have not fully been willing to look at yourself wholeheartedly. This is what courage is. Courage is being able to look at yourself in a new way. Courage is being willing to look at the parts of yourself that you have not been willing to look at before now, with the understanding that in the witnessing, in the intention of doing it, you will discover something new. And maybe you will discover more fear. Maybe. And if you discover more fear, you just sit with the fear. You sit with the fear and ask, how can you transform this fear? How can you experience a new frequency that doesn't have you run from the fear, but has you transmute the fear? You have to sit in the uncomfortable experience. You have to be willing to allow yourself to be uncomfortable. I know when I do that, sometimes I shake. Like, I'll just literally, and then I just make a sound, and then it'll pass. It'll move through. And as it moves through, I integrate it more at a deeper level, right? So you have to really understand that you are a transmuter. You are an electrical field, like especially those of us who have melanin, you are a conduit of electricity. So if you allow yourself to take the thoughts that are coming through and let them move through you, they will go away. They will go and you can free yourself from them. And if you are having a hard time freeing yourself from them because we are under the Aries energy, fire, I encourage you to do burning rituals. If you guys want to come and work with me and I can show you how to do this stuff and show you how to transmute energy and show you how to literally shift frequency within your own consciousness, because we're moving into a time when consciousness is the new currency. As you see, this is not at all about people who have money. Like, money is not going to make you safe from any of this kind of. Your consciousness is going to make you safe. Your way of being is going to create safety. And if you can't source safety and security from within you, there are things you can do to release those frequencies of fear and trauma that come from our old way of being that's becoming obsolete. Our old ways of being have to go. We can't be that way anymore. We're seeing it. And this is not going to change. This is how it is from going forward, right? So it's about really understanding that your energy is the thing that invites something into your reality through agreement, through conscious agreement. So if there are things that are so for instance, for me, like a couple of months ago, I did a class on death and dying. And one of the things that I'll do if death or fear thoughts are coming into my consciousness, I will allow myself to see myself in the experience of death, in the experience of dying, because that is a natural, let me say this, death is not real, right? But because we have held it in this way that it is for all this time, I have to let those currents play out in my consciousness so that they dissolve and go away, right? So I will allow myself to experience a death in my mind. I will watch myself die. I will say, okay, I am having a death right now. Some part of me, some frequency within me is willing to die right now. And I will allow that death to move through me and then let it go. And that could take, that could take a day, that could take an hour, that can take 10 minutes. But I don't lock down on anything. I'm allowing everything to flow, And if I am confused or feeling like I can't let something go, I will do a ritual with water, and I will ask the water to wash things away from me. Drink the water and wash it out of my body, wash it out of my consciousness, or shower and ask the water to wash the energy away from me that no longer serves me. It's very important that we begin to understand that we are connected to everything and we are sovereign. So your thinking has dominion over the reality that you're in. Your thinking is more important than medicine, food, anything. Your thoughts are the thing, because consciousness is the new currency. So if you think yourself abundant, because we're in this electromagnetic field that is listening and bringing to us our reality, if you think yourself abundant, you will experience abundance. If you think yourself ill, you will experience yourself ill. If you think yourself whole, you will experience yourself whole. Now, this is not to say that you should be afraid of your thoughts. You should not. But you should be able to witness them, to know where you're going to engage, to know where you're going to sort of allow yourself to hang out. And there are ways that you can learn how to do this. The moon work is one way that I teach this in my community, in the community that I'm in service to. Teaching people how to connect to consciousness, teaching people how to create the reality that they deeply desire and not the one that they fear. This is not something we've learned in the American education system. You're going to have to find ways to learn this stuff now, because we are going to need it going forward, or your life will be full of chaos and confusion, because there are going to be so many stories and misinformation and all that. You've got to learn to trust something. And the first thing to trust is yourself. So if you have not cultivated trust inside of yourself, cultivated your intuition, cultivated your nurture, your self-awareness, then you have some learning to do. You have some things that you need to catch up on. Like, it's like one of the things that we don't get to skip steps in this consciousness conversation. Like consciousness is an internal thing. You can't buy consciousness. You can't manipulate consciousness. You can't trick it. It's what it is. It really is what it is. So for those of us who have been putting off our spiritual work and putting off this, feeling like this doesn't matter, now is the time. The rubber's about to hit the road, or it's actually hit the road, and your consciousness is the thing that you have to cultivate. And so there are things you can do. Like, hold on one second. I'm gonna share some books that I've read in the last several years that can assist you with consciousness. So I'll be right back. Okay, Thank you. Sorry for that. So this is a great book. This is called The Book of Mastery by Paul Selig. And it's totally a book about teaching you how to move into the I am presence so that you are the creator of your reality. Another book is The Book of Love and Creation by Paul Selig. This is a really great book to help you really move into learning how to think. Many of us need to teach ourselves how to think, because so as a man thinketh, you are, right? So if your thinking is like, I hear people constantly going, oh, this is going to happen out in the future. And it's something that they don't want to happen, right? It's like, oh, people are going to be getting sick and people are going to be this. No, don't do that. If you think that, that's the reality you're creating. You have to think the reality that you desire. You have dominion in your sphere, right? So people who are thinking this is going to be this and this is going to be that, and this, what happens is when you think those things, you invite that into your experience. So don't think about things that you don't actually want to experience. Think about things that you do want to experience. And if you don't have the ability to keep your mind focused in a high frequency way of being and thinking, then you need to train yourself. It is a muscle that you need to build. Just the way you would exercise and, if you wanted to run a marathon, I know when I marathon trained, I started off by running 1 mile and then I would run 3 miles and then 5 miles. I would do all of that long before the marathon came out. So by the time the marathon came, I was at 17 miles or 20 miles. And then by the time I got to the marathon, I had built up the power to actually sustain running a marathon for 26 miles. You have to do the same thing with your mind and your thinking. You have to allow yourself to create the experience so that you can sustain a long thought process, a frequency for extended periods of time. And you have to teach yourself to do it. And so if you are carrying trauma or separation or, things like that, you have to shrink those frequencies down that you have carried from your childhood. Because right now, what's happening is, if you watch that movie, it's called Bird Box. I think it's Bird Box on Netflix with Sandra Bullock. And we see all of these people beginning to go crazy from something going on inside of them, right? We see them in this movie, they're killing themselves and doing all this stuff because there's something going on in their internal reality. That's their mind coming to life in the external. So the movie does a great job of showing what happens if your internal reality is filled with chaos. It will come to your external reality. And so the work is just cleaning up your own consciousness. That's all you have to do. It's easy. It's easy to do. And the reason I'm saying it's easy is because I've done it and I'm doing it. And it's doable. I'm not special. I'm not different than anybody else. So you've got to go in and clean up your consciousness. And, so if you have scarcity stuff around money, if you have scarcity stuff around health and feeling, less than, that stuff has to be cleaned up, because the reality is that the only thing that's true about you is that you are a divine being. So if your ego is telling you that you are not enough, that other people are this or you are that, or that stuff needs to be cleaned out. So it's like moving into a house that's old and you have to rebuild it and you have to paint the walls and you have to clean out the junk that's already in there. That's what you have to do inside of yourself, inside of yourself. And when you do that, your frequency will be uplifted, up-leveled, and you will be led and directed by the electromagnetic field that is around you, within you, around, to the things that match you. This is all about the matching, right? So everything in your reality is a picture of you in some way. So if you're getting a picture that doesn't really resonate with you, that you don't desire, You have to take responsibility for that, clean it out of your consciousness, and then it will shift and you will get a new picture. So that is all. So if you guys need support or anything like that, I encourage you. The new moon is coming in Aries. It's coming on Tuesday. I'm going to be doing a meditation, I believe, for the moon group, and I think I'm going to invite other people. So, but it's just important to learn how to be here, really. Like, the world is changing. The energy on the planet is changing. You got to learn how to be here, and you got to teach yourself. And for those, like, this is not stuff that we were taught. So you have to seek out people who know how to do it. You have to. And seek out communities and people who are really dedicated to transformation and healing. And, so many of us have been able to move through the world and be in denial because maybe we have resources and things like that allow us to skip over things. But you can't trick consciousness. Consciousness cannot be tricked. You know who you are, right? Like, just like I know when I'm telling a lie. I know when I'm doing something that is out of integrity for myself. I know when I am not showing up for myself. I know it, right? You can no longer deny the things that you know about yourself. Everybody has, our shadow selves is what it is. So if you can look at your shadow and give yourself permission to look at the stuff that you're afraid of, to look at the stuff that you're running from, you can transmute this energy. It's possible. Anyone can do it, but it requires a practice. It is not something that you can do in one thought. You have to literally practice it, like your breathing, like your way of being. You have to align yourself. And so with that, I'm going to come in as often as I feel called to and share. If anybody has any questions, you can post them here or reach out to me. But we are getting more light. More light is coming into our planetary system. We're going to be seeing more and more and more things that have been in the shadows. This is not going away. This is our new normal. And it's going to require that you learn how to ascend. You have to ascend. You have to rise up and move above the old construct. You have to move into the 5D. That's the only way to do it. And there are teachers who are teaching this. And so find the way that works for you. I use astrology. I use the moon because that is a system that never changes. It's ancient. It hasn't gone away. And there are other systems that are ancient. And then there are things that are new. Find something that's going to assist you in elevating. Just do it. Just do it. We really don't, the choice is over with. We have choices, of course, but the choice is kind of like, are you going to suffer or are you going to wake up? Those are the choices. Are you going to suffer or are you going to wake up? And the truth of the matter, I hope that everybody feels this. This is a beautiful time to be alive. This is an amazing time to be alive. For me, I feel like as a person who's a person of color, a Black person in this country, I feel so grateful that I'm a descendant of those who were captive because I have their DNA in my cell structure. I have the power of my ancestors who built everything in this country, right? So I know in consciousness, I can access that. That's available. That's how thin the veil is now. So whatever you need, challenge yourself and reach for it. What did it say? Christine said, a few more of your favorite books until. Okay. Ernesto said, consecrate yourself. Yes, absolutely. Consecrate yourself with something that elevates you. That's it. Exactly. I will share. I'll come back in and share some of my books that I've been reading. But this is a really amazing time. It's amazing. I encourage you to do whatever you need to do to neutralize your fear. Fear is an indicator that you have the power to be courageous. Fear is not a bad thing. It's information to tell you that you need to face something. That's what your fear is. It's like there's something you need to see about yourself that you're not seeing. There's something you need to discover about yourself that you're not discovering. That's all fear is. Do not let it get the best of you. Look at it. Go, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And look and see what it is. And it'll show you. And then you get to go, okay, well, let me deal with that. And then you'll be free. And then another thing will come. And when I tell you that the magic is so real right now, it is incredibly real. If you do the work, you'll clear the space and the magic will start to happen. Literally, the telepathic field is really high and open right now. The ability to immediately create healing with your mind is completely open right now. Like there's so much available to us, but you have to clear out the mess in your consciousness, the junk, the chaos has to be cleared out of your consciousness so that you can get downloads and know what is for you to do. All right. Thank you, Ernesto. Ernesto is one of my first teachers, you guys, so I love him. And I love you so much. I love all of you very much. And I just feel very grateful that we're all here at this time and we can do this work. We all can do it. Nobody is incapable. Everybody is capable. If you want it. But you have to let go of that ego that has you fighting and feeling like something is against you. Nothing is against you at all. All right. I love you. I love y'all. Bye. Share the video.